Okay, we are recording. Lauren, how are you today?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right. We've just been having a chat. For people that are listening to this, you should be going over to YouTube and watching this because Lauren's got spectacular hair. Top effort was made for this podcast today. Um, I'm joking, of course. You've prepped your hair because you've got a show tonight, right?
I have, yeah. These are my sock buns, but they do look quite retro. I always get more comments on the sock buns than I do when I take my hair out and look all glamorous.
So, where are you playing tonight?
So I have a residency gig in Mayfair at a place called Quaglino's, and I do a cool little live looping show where my friend plays multiple instruments and layers them up, and then I loop different vocal effects, and we just create this very cool cinematic one-off show that changes every week.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, look, we'll talk more about your music as the show unfolds. But let's kick off your playlist. And I'm going to ask you, please, to tell me the song that you regard as having the greatest ever intro, please.
Oh, okay. So probably Kashmir by Led Zeppelin, I reckon.
Okay. So tell me why you chose that.
I just think it's iconic. It's one of those weird questions, though, that you're like, oh, are we talking about just in my eyes or just in the eyes? I think that's something that everybody can kind of like instantly recognize and feel like it would be that or it'd be Eye of the Tiger. Everybody knows that. And you just
Yeah.
gives you that feeling of like, yeah, let's get something started. So,
Yeah. Eye of the
yeah,
Tiger's got a sense of urgency about it, hasn't it?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like it's straight to it. Um, and in a sort of climate where music is so easily accessible now, and there is new music being constantly added to streaming services and such. Are you mindful when you're writing now that there is an element of pressure to grab the listener quite quickly in a world where maybe attention spans are getting a little shorter, where maybe you don't get the luxury of a vast intro like Kashmir,
Yeah,
and multiple Led Zeppelin songs, which probably had huge intros, which I'm sure a record company would go, that's not happening if you took that as a single now. But I mean, look, there's no right or wrong answer to this. I mean, I'm just asking you specifically as an artist if any of these kind of trends are filtered through into your creative process.
I think obviously it's definitely something people are aware of. There are certain, I mean, I've been asked before to make something, like, it's got to be TikTok viable, and I won't do it. And it's not because I think that that's wrong, and if it works for some people, it does. But to me, I think the most important thing is letting the song dictate what feels right for it. I've probably been overindulgent sometimes in my openings by today's standards. But I think you're inviting somebody into your world and you're creating an atmosphere, and especially when you want to create a body of work like an album or something, and you want everything to feel cohesive. It's not about those individual platforms that are having their moment right now. It's about kind of creating something that feels right, that you can be proud of for years to come, whether or not TikTok is still relevant or
Yeah.
I think being mindful of people's attention spans and what people want is always definitely something that is to be considered when you're making art. But as an artist, you should just be making art, and it will find its audience. The right people will love it. Attention span or not. And if they haven't got the attention span for it, they're not the right audience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, for your second track, now I'm going to ask you, please, to tell me the first song you remember hearing that had an emotional impact on you, please.
So when I was a kid, I just used to rifle through my parents' record collection, and they were big fans of Eva Cassidy. And then I just locked in onto her, and I loved the song Songbird. It felt so emotional. I mean, all of her stuff is really emotive, and she had an amazing voice and was such an emotive performer. But I loved it so much that I made everybody call me Songbird for like years. That was my nickname. I had decided no one got to choose my nickname for me. I was going to be called Songbird. So yeah, it has to be that one.
And do you know, like, I mean, I think I've got this right, but are you familiar with like the kind of how Eva Cassidy become this huge kind of artist?
Do you know what? I went to see the Eva Cassidy story with my granddad when I was younger. We went and saw a theatre show, and they had Faye from Steps play her, and she was actually fantastic. Um,
Right.
so I know she had a bit of a struggle, and she wanted to not be put in a box. Like she wanted to sort of sing all these different genres and these styles of songs, and then obviously it has a very sad, tragic end because unfortunately, she died of cancer. And I think she probably had more of a moment after her death.
Hugely,
Yeah,
hugely. Because from my sort of take on it was that the DJ, Radio One DJ, passed away a few years ago. Steve Wright apparently used to host like a TV show called Top of the Pops 2, where he'd sort of show retrospective, performances from Top of the Pops over the years. And he'd done a play out, and he'd found someone had sent him the video of Eva Cassidy doing not Songbird, Somewhere Over the Rainbow,
yeah,
in some bar, and he played it at the end of Top of the Pops, which no one had heard of Eva Cassidy, and apparently the response was just incredible to like, whoa, what is this? And rightly so, because her take on that song is just ridiculously beautiful,
yeah, yeah,
and then from what I gather, that was kind of like the huge sort of exposure in the UK, which then went on to, see all of her music subsequently get released and
yeah.
become huge. It's fantastic. So get back to the impact that had on you. Like, if you had to sort of pinpoint the emotion you got from Songbird, what would it have been?
I felt like there was just this kind of melancholy heartbreak in there, which maybe as a kid, I remember singing as a kid, and people used to say, "Oh, you're singing songs that are too old for you. You couldn't possibly understand these emotions or this feeling." But I felt like even as a kid, I like weirdly connected with that melancholy, that sad, but beautiful, like almost bittersweetness that I think she had kind of throughout a lot of her work and her reimaginings of people's songs.
Tell me a little bit about you said you was sort of rifling through your parents' record collection. So tell me a little bit about where home was growing up and how musical environment that was.
Well, it was very, very musical. My dad played guitar and my mum plays many instruments, none of them well, but she sings. And we used to have lots of sort of sing songs of a weekend. I've got Caribbean Irish roots, so there would be anything from like calypsos to like old Irish songs. So it was always a very musical environment, and both of my parents were very into their music. And my dad was massively into the Beatles, and my mum had like old Nat King Cole vinyl records, and I was very, yeah, I never really kind of listened to the stuff that all my peers were listening to at school. I was very fixed on whatever was in the collection, because also like, didn't necessarily have the money to go out and like buy the latest whatever. It was expensive. So I just explored what was already there. And I'm so grateful because I feel like it gave me such an eclectic balance of things that I still listen to today. Like I've still got Nat King Cole and Ella Fitzgerald on vinyl, and it puts me at peace when I play it because it feels like home. It's just got that emotional attachment, that feeling that just music does. I think, it can take you back.
Yeah. And I think having like, Nat King Cole and the Beatles and such as your entry level foundation, that's a good place to start, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I remember doing a school project on the Beatles. We got to choose something, and I think the teacher was like, "Are you just doing this to please your dad?" But I was genuinely just really interested in music
Yeah.
at that age, and I could have picked any subject, but it was such a good thing to be surrounded by.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, you mentioned school there. So that brings us on nicely to the next track. And Lauren, if you can tell me the song that reminds you of your time at school, please.
So, like I said, I was not really a cool kid in terms of keeping up to date with whatever everybody else was listening to, but I do have a distinct memory of singing with a group of girls. In some school assembly, we did "Where Is the Love" by Black Eyed Peas, I think it was, and correct me if I'm wrong. And yeah, I think that was a moment where I felt like I was cool in that moment because I knew a cool
Yeah.
song. So,
So school as an experience for you, like, was it something that you enjoyed?
um, yes and no. Like I wasn't popular, but I wasn't unpopular. I had lots of friends, but I also I wasn't very cool. I did have my moment, like most kids. I was quite badly picked on, so I didn't enjoy that. And yeah, I feel like there were good parts and there were bad parts. I'm extremely grateful to have got to go to the school that I went to because they had an amazing arts department, and that I really did love. Getting to be part of the drama department and music department, and there was always things available and clubs, after school clubs and shows that you could be part of. So that was always really, really exciting for me. But on a whole, I don't think I, like a lot of creative people, fit very well in a kind of controlled learning
Yeah.
environment. And yeah, it was a struggle for me because I didn't want to apply myself. I mean, I didn't do badly, but I definitely was told quite a lot. Lauren is a dreamer. She has her head in the clouds, and if only she'd apply herself and focus. And I just wanted to be making things and doing stuff, and a lot of stuff felt quite pointless to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So where did you grow up and where was school? Where was this all happening?
So I grew up in the New Forest. My parents are still in Milford-on-Sea, and that's where I mainly grew up. I was born and raised in London, but moved there when I was quite young. So that's mostly what I remember. And I went to school in Bournemouth at St. Peter's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So I mean, you just spoke there about how, the arts was actively encouraged at your school, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, did you already have an idea what you wanted to be when you was at school, or did the
Oh,
arts and
I
singing come a little
knew.
later?
I knew before, even before school, as soon as I could talk, that was it. I was singing. Yeah, any opportunity, family events, I would be performing. School, I would be performing. Like if there was an opportunity at an assembly to sing or to do something, I couldn't see myself doing anything else, which again probably contributed to the idea of me feeling like a lot of things were pointless, sitting in a maths class being like, I'm never going to need algebra because I'm going to be a singer. I'm going to write music. So, yeah.
And did that being in the New Forest, did that feel like that was possible? Because there's so much kind of, I guess, and wrongly, there's so much kind of expectation that to make it in music
Mm.
or acting, you have to be in London, or you have to be in Manchester. You have to be in these huge cities, these big
Yeah,
creative hubs. And when you're on the sort of peripheries of those, you know, does it feel, from living outside of London myself in
yeah.
Essex and when I was younger, being in bands and stuff like that, it felt that we had to go into London to get, to showcase to the labels and things like that. What was your kind of stance on it from being in the New Forest?
I think that that is generally how it feels. I mean, I was in a very sleepy village with, not a lot going on. And even now, like I don't live in London now, but I still have to travel up twice a week,
Mm,
which is quite a long trip. But it's a sacrifice because also, living in London is quite difficult. It's expensive.
yeah,
And I mean, I'm very grateful. I live a minute walk from the beach, and I feel like I get a lot of inspiration when I'm out in
mm,
nature. And so it's kind of weighing up those things of what's important to you, getting that sort of being in an environment that feels conducive to writing and feels like right for you. But I guess now where I do a lot of stuff for TV and film, it doesn't really matter. That stuff, it doesn't matter where I'm based.
mm,
I'm established enough in that world that, you know, I can write from my little back bedroom. But
yeah,
but yes, there is a lot more opportunity, and even just to get my foot in the door, I had to go to London to do that. I had to go, when I got signed, I had to go find my people, my publisher, and and promote myself there. There was just no way anyone was going to find me singing in a pub or a restaurant
sure.
in my small town. So yeah, it's the way it goes, and I don't think it's changed.
Well, let's stay in the formative years for the next track as well. And I'm going to ask you, please, Lauren, to tell me the first song that you remember buying from a record shop, please.
Okay, so it wasn't one that I actually bought, but it was the first one that I had that was my choice. It wasn't from my parents' record collection, and it was because I'd done a school showcase, and I'd won, and they said that they would buy me whatever CD I wanted, and I chose Shakira "Dirty Laundry," and my favorite track on that was "Underneath Your Clothes." I don't know why.
Fantastic.
It spoke to me
Fantastic.
as a kid. Her hips didn't lie.
Yeah. And so, what's your relationship like now with the record store? So, I'm presuming I'm sure there's an independent record shop in Bournemouth. There must be. Um, and otherwise, if you're out playing shows and stuff, and you see a record store, are you sticking your head in there?
I see, I'm in Weymouth and there is one old vinyl shop here, and I have bought a few vinyls. But honestly, I'll be truthful, probably not. I do, I'm for an old-fashioned girly, I'm quite modern in my how
Yeah.
I listen to my music. And even though I have vinyl, I'll occasionally put it on of an evening. Most of the time that I get to listen to my music is when I'm doing my run in the morning. So it will be whatever goes on my playlist, or if there's an album coming out that I really want to listen to, that run time is my time to listen. So I tend to stream a lot of music,
Yeah.
which is terribly unromantic, and it's not quite as nice as rifling
It's
through an old.
terribly convenient and handy, though, isn't
It is
it?
very, it is very. What's often is I will stream things that I've got on record. Like if I really
Mm.
love an artist, I feel like a lovely thing to do is to, if they've got vinyl, to buy the vinyl because it feels like a piece of art in itself. But I'm ashamed to say that I've got a few vinyls in there that haven't come out their wrapper yet. But I've listened to the album.
Of
I've just done
course.
it on my phone. But yeah, yeah, it's the way of the world.
It is, it is. But I think that also means that should you do, you find them moments where it's like, oh, do you know what? I'm gonna get the record player out. I'm gonna put this piece of vinyl on, and I think it makes it more of an experience when you do that because it's so tangible. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
this, I'm the same. Everything is on my headphones when I'm out and about. It's so easy to stream, but being the age I'm, I've got a ridiculously big record collection, and when I do decide to just take that little sort of moment in the day and just go, do you know what, I'm gonna put a record on, it just
yeah.
feels nice. Like
It
it feels like an
is.
experience.
Yeah, exactly. Nice of an evening, light the candles, glass red wine,
Exactly, mate.
put a Bible on,
Exactly.
you get the crackle, you're like, oof, I'm spoiling myself.
Well, look, talking of experiences, the next track is a song that soundtrack your years clubbing. So you've sent me a message saying you didn't go clubbing.
I can't give you one because I think I've probably stepped foot in a club a handful of times
Mm.
and it just wasn't my vibe. I'm not a sticky floor kind of girl.
Well,
So
what
yeah,
I mean, I think I'm fast approaching 700 episodes of this show, and I'll be honest with you, probably 600 guests have said what you've just said, and
that makes me feel so much better because I was like, God, I feel so uncool. But I could lie to you, but I don't have
no, no, I think most people that are creating music and such are generally creating music in that. I mean, them formative years where you're clubbing, that's
yeah.
generally when people are trying to crack into the industry and really sort of focus on their craft. So we can kind of reframe that question, which is what I've done sort of many times. I'm going to put you on the spot here as well, Lauren. But it can be like, if there was a bar that you'd hang out in or anything like that where they had a good jukebox or something like that, something that soundtracked that kind of period of, hitting 18 and such.
Well, I tell you what, that period of time I was hanging around a lot of folk nights. So it was
Okay.
live music and it was often um, people from my town performing sort of their own songs. It wasn't covers. Um, so I mean, I probably couldn't pull a name of a song out of the hat now, but if there was going to be a soundtrack to that period of my life, it would have been sort of anything kind of on that folk scene.
Lovely.
Um, yeah, that was. yeah, that was a good time in my life. I used to get up and do stuff as well, which was like how I first cut my teeth in performing, and it was yeah, it was
Your own
fun.
stuff or covers at that
Yeah,
point?
I do my own stuff as raw and undeveloped as it was at that age. I would test out things and it was a great experience and it was great to hear what other people were
Yeah.
writing.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
Right. Well, look, we haven't been clubbing, so I normally at this point tell guests I'm going to take them home now for the next track. But let's say we've left the folk club, right? And so I'm going to take you home to your home county for the next track. And can you tell me a favourite song from an artist from your home county, please?
Okay. So I don't know. I think she might be from my home county, but I'm not sure. But I was a bit obsessed with Gabrielle Aplin, Start of Time. So I think she is a Southern English girl. And yeah, she was sort of a few years older than me, but she was doing what I wanted to do at the time. And that was, yeah, very, very big thing in my mind.
So that kind of sort of arcs back to what I asked earlier as well. Like, you know, being from outside of London, I think it's so important that you have people from where you're from that are doing what you want to do. It's so inspirational to actually be able to go, oh yeah, what she's doing, that's what I want to do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Fantastic. Right, well, this is your last track. And this is where you get to be a tastemaker for the listeners, and it's a song that you think many may not know that you would like them to hear, please.
Yes. Okay. So it's by my favorite artist right now, and she's a Swedish singer-songwriter called Leon, and it's called "Hope is Heartache," and I just think it's a brilliant song.
It is a brilliant song, and I when I got your songs sent over, I was going through them, and this is beautiful. And then I went down a bit of a hole listening to more of her stuff as well. And
Yeah.
yeah, she's got a voice on her, hasn't she?
She really has just like that lovely, like crispy raspiness that you get.
Yeah,
Tone that there's no amount of practice or you can't fake it. You either have it or you don't, and she's got it. And yeah, I love the sound. I love the production. I think she's an amazing artist. And yeah, I wish more people knew. Actually, I'm glad not more people know because it means that she still gets to play smaller
yeah.
venues and tours. Because as soon as they get to Wembley, it's like
Well, we
now I've got
make it.
a
We
crowd of thousands.
Well, we make it nice and easy for the listeners of this show to go and listen to that track as well as all the other tracks that we've spoken about today. 'Cause we do a little Spotify playlist to accompany the podcast so people can go and listen to the records that we've spoken about today. But some of the most important music we're yet to speak about is yours. So bring us up to speed with everything that's happening, Lauren.
So I've just released my album. It's Always Sunny in LA. So if you get a chance, go and have a listen to that. It's very euphoric. I would say like Lana Del Rey on Happy Pills is the best way I could describe it. It's kind of got those retro elements, but it just feels quite yeah, like happy and hopeful. And then also I had a very, very cool thing happen to me last week. They had the finale of Love Island and they played one of my songs, I Do, um, and it got to the UK viral charts with Shazam. So it went to number two. I think the only person
Fantastic.
who did it was Chapel Roan, and I was like, well, this is great company to be in. So yeah, so also check out I Do because it's very cool. And if you've got a wedding coming up, it's the perfect like romantic aisle walk first dance song. So.
Wonderful, wonderful. And apart from tonight's show, like what else is happening live wise?
So live wise, I do a Sunday show at a place called Madison in St. Paul's in London. So that'll be throughout the summer. And then if you keep up to date on my socials, which is at that girl Lloren, and Lloren is Lloren, I sort of post intermittently when I'm doing one-off shows here and there. So you can keep up to date with all.
Fantastic. Well, if it's all right with you, we'll when we put this out, we'll tag you in it. So if people aren't following you already, then we make it nice and easy for them to go and do that.
Amazing. Thank you very much.
Lauren, it's been an absolute delight talking records with you. Thank you so much for giving up your time today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Fantastic. I'm going to press stop, but don't go anywhere.
Okay.